This is the type of show that I really enjoy because I have absolutely no idea what you're going to be sharing with us tonight, John, but you did give me this title, John Cullen is a Dead Man. Let's hope it's not entirely accurate. How you feeling, John?
I feel okay, but I'm afraid that the title is ominous foreboding. Now it's just a question of when and and how and who. But tonight's show should be devastating to the deep state. Devastating.
Now,
So,
John, you
mhm.
originally rose to YouTube prominence when you began your investigation into the Las Vegas shooting. And for people who are not yet familiar with John, they can access his YouTube channel by searching for John E. Hoover. And he's got an extensive library of videos detailing his investigation into the Las Vegas shooting. We're also simulcasting tonight's show on the John E. Hoover channel, so people can join us there. If you're not subscribed, just search for John E. Hoover on YouTube, and you'll be able to go back and check out the extensive research that's been done. Now, John, I think a lot of people realize that you and I are doing a sponsor exclusive show every Friday night, and that's what we're going to be doing later tonight. Do you want to give people some idea of what it is we're going to be talking about?
Yeah. So the last couple of weeks we've foregone the sponsor exclusive hour in order to get a bunch of information out to the public. Tonight, I'm afraid that the information that we're going to be sharing is so incendiary that it would cost you your channel and me my channel.
Hmm.
So we're going to have to do the full reveal to the patrons only. But there is some information that we can share in this pre-show. So there's some stuff that I've prepared that will sort of give everybody a sense of where this is headed.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to show everybody is how I was able to put it together. So this is where we get into sort of the provenance of the data, the provenance of the hypothesis, and things of that nature, right? So where does it come from, right?
Yeah.
Where the numbers come from, and where are some of these conclusions coming from? And quite frankly, I'm rather reluctant to draw conclusions. So again, tonight, I'm not necessarily putting a hypothesis on the table yet, but the evidence is so unbelievably damning
Hmm.
that it's chilling. I mean, it's scary chilling,
Mm-hmm.
real scary, really
So
scary. So
for, for people who are
that's what's
just
coming
joining
tonight.
us for the first
Uh-huh,
time, what we like to do
uh-huh.
is we like to let everybody know that the show is happening and then inform them that they can watch this sponsor exclusive show. And you've hit it on the head, John. A lot of times we put out information on YouTube, it gets immediately struck, taken down, screws up the whole ability to put stuff out. We get dopes like Havoc 007 saying, nice, paywall. But this is obviously some person with an unknown sock puppet
Yeah.
account who's trying to entice us into putting this information onto YouTube where it will assuredly be struck
But
down by
Jason,
censors.
there's
Yeah.
also there's also a lot of 14-year-olds, right? So there's
Right.
12-year-olds and 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds out there that are on YouTube, and they don't have a credit card, and so they pound their chest as if they're an adult gorilla.
Yeah.
Just ignore them. At the end of the
Absolutely.
day, guys, if we could put this stuff out on YouTube and fund what we're doing, we would do it, but we can't, and so we've got to figure out a way that we can. Believe me, Jason's not a wealthy guy, and nor am I, right? So we're doing this because we wouldn't be asking you to help fund it if we didn't need you to help fund it. It's pretty much that simple.
And really, the
So.
model is this, John. It's not a matter of people helping fund it. It's that, before I started Crowdsource the Truth, I was looking around at CNN and Fox
Mhm.
and MSNBC and all these big corporate owned entities. And when you start to look at who's investing in it, you've got Al Walid bin Talal invested up in
Mhm.
Fox. You've got Rupert
Mm-hmm.
Murdoch,
Mm-hmm.
MSNBC has some Microsoft investment there. So the idea is if you are a billionaire who has an agenda, it's a great
Mm-hmm.
idea to own a news agency that allows you to put forward your agenda. I'm just blocking people who are promoting social engineers here in our chat. They love to come here, John, and there's constant social engineering attacks, people trying to disparage you or I, trying to direct people away from this message. But for as
Mm-hmm.
little as $2 a month, people can buy back their access to information that corporate sponsors like Google and Fox, they don't want you to have. You're not appearing on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
This information, even when Tucker Carlson tried to talk about Las Vegas, they threw it off the air. And the control mechanism is you hire somebody like Tucker Carlson, like Sean Hannity, like Anderson Cooper, you pay them millions of dollars, and the second they start talking about something you don't like, you can threaten to pull their salaries. So we're doing this to eliminate the undue financial influence of outside entities. But let's focus for a minute, John, on what people are going to hear about tonight. You've sent me this slide deck, and
Yeah,
what's
let's
the
not show it.
nature? Oh,
Don't
whoops.
show it. Do not
Sorry.
show the slide deck. Yeah, that was in the
Sorry.
email. We're not showing that. Yep, that's for patrons only.
Sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
So the only thing we're showing in this aspect of the show are those video clips that I shared with you. And before we get to those video clips, let's just do a little housekeeping on sort of last week's stuff and where we stand and sort of getting caught up a little bit. Since we last were together, I put out a number of videos, one of which went somewhat viral on the Johnny Hoover channel. The one that went viral, though, is not the most compelling video, and that's typically the case. So typically the ones that go viral are like the kind of the dumbed down ones, quite frankly. The ones that are more interesting rarely go viral. So Hot Mic in the White House press room got 43,000 views in the last 3 days. And for my channel, that's a lot. Usually my videos are getting 2,000, 3,000 views, 4,000 views or whatever. So we don't need to play that one. You don't need to play that. The video that's important is the one that says, did we find C19 patient 0? And it's right next to Hot Mic in the White House. Did we just find C19 patient 0? And if you kill the audio and maybe open that up, I think it's to 57 seconds or something like that. I want to show you guys something here that's in this video, which is, maybe scrub back 2 seconds or something like that. Yeah, exactly. That's it. So in this video, one of the things I was looking at is, have we had biolab accidents in the United States? And the thinking is, if we've had biolab accidents in the United States, well, then, they probably have biolab accidents in China, right? And then how many biolab accidents have we had in the United States? 1, 2, 10, 17, 117? And when you start doing the research, which is in this video, you realize, oh my God, we are having mix-ups and screw-ups all over the place. We're shipping anthrax all over, and we keep shipping anthrax all over. We're shipping live viruses when we shouldn't. Oh, yeah. It's just one mess after the other. And there's research that others have done here. And so when you look at the mess it is in the United States, you then go to Wuhan and you ask yourself, okay, well, what might we see in Wuhan? So you can play the video, but kill the audio. Yeah, just let the video run in the background as I'm talking over it.
Sure.
And one of the things I think you guys are going to see here is just not the level of controls and the level of sophistication that you would expect in a PL4 lab that's housing Ebola, that's housing hantavirus, that's housing...
John, in the U.S. or in China or both?
I'm going to show you photos of China. I'm showing you photos inside the Wuhan lab right now. You're going to see inside the Wuhan lab right now. All right, so in Wuhan, we have photographs not only of them working on the products, but earlier there was a story that was published in China. You can hit pause now. There we go. This is one of my favorite shots. Hit pause. Yeah. So this is one of my favorite spots, and this is the security room in Wuhan in the lab. Okay, that's it. So what we're looking at is three chairs, three guys,
With the TVs above
two
their
two,
heads. Can
and
they
those are
see them?
televisions. Those are
Wow.
televisions. They're each sitting in front. I think we've got two computers or three computers there. And then I want you to notice the curtain and the curtain rod at the top of the stairs. And this is security at a PL4 bio lab in China. This is it. This is the lab. And
Hmm.
these are the security guys watching the security monitors. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah.
Look at the curtain. Can you zoom in on that curtain rod? I mean,
I
I can't.
don't
I can't.
think I can do that without doing like a screen
Oh, right,
capture
right,
of
right. Because
this.
it's a video. Right, right,
Maybe
right.
we
It's a
can.
video.
Hang on.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's
No, no,
see.
no. Oh, you know what? I do in the video. Just hit play. I zoom in the
Okay.
video. Go full screen. You'll see it.
One thing I
Yeah,
want to
I do.
add while you're showing us this, John, is that earlier in the week, Mike Moore of True Pundit had a report that suggested it was possible that some of this
Mhm.
biological material was moved to China because there's less oversight. There's a lot of issues with federal oversight with these bio labs in the United States.
We have the woman who's going back and forth from Winnipeg and stop. That's the refrigerator. Now, what's fascinating about that picture, if you go back 3 seconds on the video, go back to that tweet, back, just scroll back a smidge to that. There we go. So that's from China Daily, but you want to look at the date on that tweet and hit pause when that tweet gets up. There we go.
March
So if you
28th,
look at the
2018.
right, so the point is, this is well before
Oh,
anybody was really looking at the lab. And long before anybody shined a light on this lab, if you go back to China Daily newspaper, there's a story about the Wuhan lab, and they're showing off their frozen samples of hantavirus and and what have you. So now hit play on the video and watch what happens when we zoom in on the seals on this refrigerator. And you tell me, would you wear a mask and gloves and handle Ebola with that refrigerator, with the frost and the seals that you're about to see when she opens this door? Keep watching. Hit play. Yeah. All right, so those are the deadliest viruses in the world, and this is the crew, huh?
hmm.
This is I'm not that comfortable with what I'm seeing here, to be quite frank, right? And I doubt the
Right.
audience is either. Right.
No.
So in this video, where we end up going, if you continue to let it play, continue to let it run, the question is that in China, they said November 17th, they think they've identified patient zero. So give or take, right? So let's say they're in the realm. So let's say it's mid-November. So if we go back 2 or 3 weeks before that, right, before somebody would have shown symptoms, might you have contracted the virus in Wuhan? This is Wuhan, October 18th to the 27th. Now, if you were in Wuhan in that period, might you have contracted it and then started to show symptoms on November 17th? It's possible. So the question becomes, well, what was happening in Wuhan? This was happening in Wuhan. This event has 10,000 athletes from all over the world and spectators from all over the world converging on Wuhan, China, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks before the first patient showed symptoms. All right, they were there for 9 days of competition. 10,000 athletes sweating on top of each other, breathing on top of each other for 9 days, grappling. This event is the size of the Olympics. In fact, if you watch the opening ceremony, which is in this video that we're watching here, this is the video that I put out. This one I said is more important than the other one. You're going to see representatives from Germany, from Italy, from Spain, from France, from the United States, etc. And so the countries that have been hit by the virus attended this event. And so the question then becomes, maybe the virus, again, I think the issue here is we have to separate, was the release of the virus deliberate or accidental? And that is a completely separate topic, because they're mutually exclusive or not mutually exclusive, meaning regardless of whether it was intentional or not intentional, this event is the super spreader event, it appears. We've got 10,000 athletes from all over the world and spectators from all over the world 2.5 weeks prior to the initial sensing of the outbreak. Now, one of the questions becomes, could it have started even earlier and more people were sick with it and just didn't know?
Saudi.
And I think there's the sound. Absolutely. Everybody's there. Everybody's there. 10,000 athletes from 100 countries. 100 countries, 10,000 athletes on top of each other and competing. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is Olympic-sized competition. And this took place in October of 2019. And we have the first patient showing up November 17th, supposedly, right? So that's the first one that we know of. Does that mean that there wasn't somebody who was already experiencing symptoms on November the 4th? I don't know. So here's the United States delegation. Those are our soldiers. You know that on one of our ships, something like 600 or 800 sailors just tested positive on that big ship. Mm-hmm. So this is the contingent of military athletes competing in these games in Wuhan in October. And for some reason, CNN didn't seem to think this was relevant. They didn't report on this. MSNBC doesn't seem to think that this could be the beginning of the spread of the virus, so they didn't tell you about it. That, I guess the event wasn't big enough to report on, wasn't spectacular enough. But I look at this event and I'm simply asking, might this be where the virus started to spread globally? Was 9 days of competition and all these people on top of each other? Is it a possibility? What is the likelihood that it was this versus every other scenario? Do we have another scenario in Wuhan where more people are in a confined area for a longer period of time than these games 2 weeks prior to the first appearance of symptoms? There's a simple question.
Well, but John,
is there another event of this size or equal?
There's not, of course, but this has been spoken about. David Hawkins pointed this out. I've seen other people talking about this. This has been somewhat in the news, right?
Have you seen the footage of the parades and all that? You've seen the size and scale?
I mean, I haven't looked at this specific footage before, but certainly we're aware of this event. We're aware of the timing. We're aware that it was the military games and everybody who participated.
Have you seen the footage? Have you seen the footage of the event is what I'm asking. Has anybody shown this footage?
No.
Right.
I mean, okay. Not that I'm aware.
That's the key. Okay, now look who's here. That's the point. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking, and talk is cheap. Where's your footage? Wow. Nobody understands the size and scale of 100,000 spectators, 10,000 athletes, 9 days. Now, there are all kinds of theories and hypotheses about how the virus got to these games, and I think that's all nonsense. I think at the end of the day, we see a laboratory that's 3 blocks away from here with bad seals and viruses, and a lady who stole viruses, it appears, from Canada. And she wasn't stealing viruses. Was she stealing maple syrup? Is that why they kicked her out of Winnipeg? Was it a maple syrup problem? Or was it a virus problem? Why did they kick her out? Right?
Right.
So you can stop the videos. All right. So at the end of the day, I'm looking at this like, guys, this is kind of like mystery solved. We've got the Ebola lady in Winnipeg.
But wait a minute.
Go ahead.
We got to come back to that adage that correlation does not equal causation. And as I said, that is known, that is possible. But there are so many other factors that need to be considered. I mean, you've got President Xi there. If this plane is coming from China, would they risk infecting their president with it? Unless he's inoculated.
Right, so again, so stop. You need to separate. Was it deliberate or accidental? We're not talking about that. We're saying that we know there's a lab in China that's got lousy security. The seals on the refrigerators are a disaster. We got this lady moving viruses back and forth from Winnipeg. We know about her. Whether or not she's moving this virus or not doesn't matter. It just means they're compromised, right? That's all. So at the end of the day,
So let me just add something real quick, John, because we're very close
Sure.
to out of time here. But people are saying that George
Sure,
Webb
sure.
has shown this, and that's something I want to underscore, because an event
Okay.
like this, that on the surface seems like a
Mhm.
very likely place that something it would happen, something could happen, is
Mhm.
something that social engineers who want you to think that's where it occurred could seize upon. So while I acknowledge that is a very valid
I get it.
line
Yeah, yeah.
of
I get it.
inquisition to
But
go
just
down,
because
I don't want to
I
jump
get
to
it,
any
I get
conclusions
it.
about that, particularly
We're
when I look
not.
at people like George Webb promoting that, because I think there's a lot of other
All right.
stories. I mean,
So let
I
me
think
stop you
there's,
again,
yeah,
please. I need to stop you. I need to
okay,
stop you. Just because George Webb is aware of the event doesn't mean
not
this
aware of
isn't
it,
where it started. All
promoting
right.
it.
Whatever. It doesn't,
He
again,
is very
just
frequently
Jason,
getting ahead of
Jason,
stories
Jason,
to
have you
muddy the
seen my
waters.
materials? Jason,
Listen,
have you
let's do
seen the
this, John.
materials?
Hang on.
Okay.
We got to take a break because we got to transition over to subscribestar.com/I am John
Right.
Cullen, patreon.com/I
Right.
am John Cullen, and Subscribestar and Patreon for Crowdsource the Truth. So we're going to get deep into
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
on the
So from
sponsor
my
exclusive
perspective,
show.
Jason, this is not about George Webb. I don't even know who he is. I
Not
don't know what your
making it
gripe
about
is or your
George
background
Webb.
with him at all.
It got nothing
Right.
to do
So
with
to me, it has
me.
nothing to do with him.
John,
Right. Right.
stop.
So that's why I'm not
It's
bringing
got
him up.
nothing
I'm
to
not bringing
do
him
with
up at
me.
all.
And
I don't want
hang
to
on, I'm
talk
going to
about
turn
him.
down your
I
microphone
don't
in a
want to talk
second.
about him.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
talking about him because he is aligned with social engineering campaign after social engineering campaign after social engineering campaign. And when I see social engineers swirling around a story, avoiding details and evidence that are very compelling that lead to another explanation, I become very curious
Right.
about why they're so focused on that story. I appreciate what
Right.
you're saying, and that's definitely evidence to be examined. But I want to be careful that we don't think that this is some bombshell. Again, correlation does not equal causation. I want to know who publishes that China daily newspaper. Mike Bloomberg was singing the praises of China. Is he
Mhm.
involved in publishing China
Mhm.
daily, whatever? He's got a big
Mhm.
media
Mhm.
empire, but we're really pressing the envelope
Mhm.
for getting over to our other show. There is some time required to do that. So I just want to remind everybody that if they are sponsors on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. These sponsor exclusive shows with John are always simulcast on subscribestar.com/I am John Cullen and patreon.com/I am John Cullen. And I encourage people to visit John's Patreon page and become a sponsor. We're just about 5 minutes out from what is sure to be a heated debate and the revelation of lots of other evidence that I haven't even seen yet. So hopefully people will join us over there. John, I'll see you in just over 5 minutes when we get there.
Looking forward to it.
And I think we got to try to get you on another VPN because we've got an unusually long delay today. So you and I will work on that during the break. See everybody over there.
I'm on a 30-second delay. I'm on a 30-second delay on YouTube. I set my channel up to delay 30-second because of the
Okay,
Skype
let's talk about
crap.
this offline. Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Okay.